Hello?
So yeah, the chairman is not seated yet, have you? Yeah. Because until the chairman is seated, we won't ask them to take the national anthem.
Yes, chairman is seated. For your time is to show to yes, it is. Oh, okay, they can say. Oh, okay. You're seeing. Okay, who does chairman have to stand? It doesn't because the camera will not be able to be 13 seconds. Not moving.
goes like so I start.
She might be really passionate. You understand the commitments.
Distinguished with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 11th annual general meeting of the company. This meeting is being held by Proxy further to the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In addition, it is being streamed live for the benefit of our shareholders and regulators who are not physically present. Will someone please lead us in a short opening prayer? In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Before we proceed, please be informed that in the event of any technical issues which will prevent me from speaking in the meeting, the directors have nominated Mr. Arigayola to chair the meeting in my stead, in line with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow shareholders, I would like to inform you about the safety measures we are taking as a responsible corporate citizen due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which poses a global health hazard and has necessitated the adoption of social distancing and restrictions on mass gatherings. The number of people present at this meeting is within the limit prescribed by the authorities. In addition, we have taken several precautionary steps, including the provision of sanitizers and masks, as well as temperature screening and ensuring social distancing between activities. These measures have been put in place to ensure the safety of our esteemed attendees. Furthermore, as an organization, we have implemented measures to ensure that food products are manufactured under the strictest hygiene standards. And we also partnered with several state governments to provide relief to local communities. I report that in the current financial year, Dr. Nino Ozara retired from the company, having attained the mandatory retirement age of 60 years. He has been re-elected to the board in a non-executive capacity, and his appointment shall be tabled before the meeting today. I would also like to inform you of the appointment of Mrs. Luwanigiwa as company secretary, following the resignation of Mrs. Luwayemisi Busari. On behalf of the board, I convey our appreciation to Mrs. Busari for her years of dedicated and meritorious service to the board and to the company. I confirm that the register of directors' shareholding is available for inspection by members in compliance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, and that it can be examined at the registrar's table. I will now introduce the directors, company secretary, advisors, and representatives of the regulatory authorities. I am Dr. Oba Utudeko, chairman of the board. Seated in the hall are the managing director, Mr. Olariwaju Dayola, and the company secretary, Mrs. Luwanigiwa. In view of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, our other directors have been proceedings remotely. They are Mr. Alan Palmer, Mr. Obafemi Utudeko, Mr. Oluwanti Shokuli, Mrs. Wamola Adetayo, Dr. Raymond Zuko, Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, and Dr. Nino Ozara. I would also like to introduce and welcome to the meeting the shareholders' representatives of the Statutory Audit Committee, Mr. Adebayo Adeke, Mrs. Morenike Umilabu, and Mr. Emmanuel Moni. The company's registrars, post registrars, and investors service limited, represented by Mr. Bayo Ubeli. The company's independent auditor, Bikatili Nigeria, represented by Mr. Mark Arenige. The representative of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Goldstein Iwena I, and the representative of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mrs. Uwo Baji. I also wish to introduce the shareholders present, who, in addition to the managing director, are acting as sponsors for the shareholders who cannot be physically present. They are Mr. Sonny Musu, Mr. Boniface Okeze, Mr. Matthew Akinade, and Mrs. P.C. Bakari. I now call upon the company secretary to read the notice containing
Notice of its 11th Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 11th Annual General Meeting of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC will hold on Wednesday, 30th September 2020 at the Civic Center, Ozumbambadiwe Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, at 11 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business, to receive the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to elect and re-elect directors. 4, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 5, to elect members of the audit committee. Special business by ordinary resolution, to renew the general mandate for related party transactions. Notes: compliance with COVID-19 directives and guidelines. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic and the consequential restriction on mass gatherings by the authorities, and in line with the CAC guidelines on holding AGMs by proxy, shareholders' attendance at the AGM shall only be by proxy. Proxies. A member of the committee entitled to attend and vote at the meeting is advised to select from the following individuals a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead: Mr. Olariwaju Jayola, Managing Director; Sasoni Wosu, Minority Shareholder; Mr. Boniface Okezie, Minority Shareholder; Mr. Matthew Akinlade, Minority Shareholder; Mrs. Bisi Bakari, Minority Shareholder. A proxy form is attached to the annual report and accounts. It may also be downloaded on the company's website, honeywellflower.com. All instruments of proxy should be completed and deposited at the office of the company's registrars, First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, 2 Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos, or via email to info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com, not later than 48 hours before the time fixed for the meeting. The company shall bear the cost for the stamping of the duly completed and signed proxy forms submitted to the registrars within the stipulated time. Live streaming of meeting. The AGM will be streamed live on our corporate YouTube channel. The link to the channel will also be available on our website, honeywellflower.com. Closure of register of members and transfer books. The register of members and transfer books of the company will be closed from 17th September to 23rd September 2020, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Proposed dividend and payment date. The board of directors of the company has recommended a dividend of 4 kobo per share, payable less withholding tax. If approved at the meeting, the dividend will be paid on 30th September 2020 to shareholders whose names appear in the register of members as at 16th September 2020. Unclaimed share certificates and dividend warrants. Shareholders are hereby informed that some share certificates and dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed. Any shareholder affected by this notice is advised to contact the company's registrars, First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, 2 Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos, or via email at info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com. E-dividend registration. Pursuant to the directive of the Securities and Exchange Commission, shareholders are advised to open bank accounts, stockbroking accounts, and CSCS accounts for the purpose of receiving dividend payments electronically. A detachable e-mandate activation form is included in the annual report and is also available on the company's and registrar's websites. The completed forms should be deposited at the registrar's office at 2 Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos, or via email at info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com. Nominations to the Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 3595 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, a shareholder may nominate another shareholder as a member of the Audit Committee by giving notice in writing of such nomination to the Company Secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. The Code of Corporate Governance issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission stipulates that members of the Audit Committee should have basic financial literacy and be able to read financial statements. Consequently, a detailed curriculum vitae confirming the nominee's qualification should be submitted with each nomination. Electronic Annual Report. The electronic version of the annual report will be available on our website and will be sent to shareholders who have provided their email address to the registrars. Shareholders who are interested in receiving the electronic version of the annual report should send a request to info@firstregistrarsnigeria.com. Rights of shareholders to ask questions. Shareholders have a right to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting. Such written questions should be addressed to the company secretary and submitted to the company's premises or via email at hfmp@honeywellflower.com, not later than 28th September 2020. Dated the 8th day of September 2020, by order of the board, signed by Mrs. Oluwayemisi Busari, Company Secretary.
very much, Company Secretary. In view of the approval granted by the Corporate Affairs Commission for the AGM to be held at Proxy, I now invite the registrars to provide the Proxy report. Register.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Board of Directors, the esteemed shareholders, ladies and gentlemen. We have received 105 valid proxy forms with a total unit of 5,930,620,891, which represents 74.79% of the paid-up capital of the company. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Registrar. I now call on the representative of the independent auditor, Baker Tilly, Nigeria, to read the auditor's report, which has been circulated to members with the accounts for the year ended 31st March 2020.
Members of Honeywell Flower. The report of the independent auditors on the financial statements of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC is on pages 51 to 54 of the annual report, and I read. We have audited financial statements of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC as a company, set out on pages 55 to 95, which comprise the statement of financial position. The statement of financial position as at March 31, 2020, and the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view in all material respects. The financial position of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC as at March 31, 2020, and its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standards, Parts 1 and 3, IESBA Code, and our independence requirements applicable to performing audits of financial statements in Nigeria. We have fulfilled our other ethical requirements in accordance with the ISBA Code and in accordance with other ethical requirements applicable to performing audits in Nigeria. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Going concern. Management has not identified the material or certainty that may cast doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern, and accordingly, none is disclosed in the financial statements. Based on our audit of financial statements, we also have not identified such a material uncertainty. As stated in Note 34 to the financial statements, Lagos and Ogun States, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, in Nigeria, were all locked down in compliance with an order from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a consequence of the global pandemic, COVID-19. However, the company continued in full commercial business operations during the period of the lockdown, as it was categorized as an entity that provides essential food products to support the government in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Key audit matter. Due to federal inventories, due to the federal government directive on lockdown as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, we could not observe the end of year stock count exercise. How our audit addressed the key audit matter. We evaluated and tested the stock taking report and evaluation report to check the correctness of the inventories figure included in financial statements. This involved checking mathematical accuracy of the computation. We obtained and reviewed internal control reports on the end of year stock count exercise and all stock reports during the year to identify areas of concern on the inventories. We also carried out post-year end check of stock records, good received notes, way bills, invoices, receipts, and so on, and did a walk back to the year-end figure. Our audit test did not reveal any material misstatement. Other information. The directors are responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in this document titled Honeywell Flour Mills PLC Financial Statements for the year ended 31st March 2020, which includes the Director's Report and the Audit Committee's report as required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and the detailed income statement, which we obtained prior to the date of this report. The other information does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information, and we do not express an audit opinion on any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report in this regard. Responsibilities of the directors for the financial statements. The directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, and for such internal controls as the directors determine is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, the directors are responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless the directors either intend to liquidate the company or to cease operations or have no realistic alternative but to do so. Auditors are responsibility for the audit of financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not a guarantee that an audit concluded in accordance with international standards on auditing will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also, one, identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal controls. 2, obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the company's internal control. 3, evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by the directors. 4, conclude on the appropriateness of the directors' use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. 5, evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of financial statements, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. 6, we communicate with the directors regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. We also provide the directors with a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence, and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence, and where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with the directors, we determine those matters that were of most significance in the audit of financial statements of the current year and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when, in extreme rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should be communicated in our report because the adverse consequences of doing so will reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with Schedule 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, we expressly state that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company, so far as it appears from our examination of those books. And 3, the company's statement of financial position and income statement are in agreement with the books of account and returns. Signed by my humble self, Mark E. Alie Mudrigo, on behalf of Bekatili, in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, on the 24th of July, 2020. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the auditor. I also call on the chairman of the audit committee, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, to read the audit committee report, which has been circulated to members.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning, the chairman and the directors of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, distinguished fellow shareholders, regulatory authorities hereby present, and our colleagues watching online. I'll read the report of the audit committee, which is on page 50 of the published annual reports and accounts. With your kind permission, Mr. Chairman, I read. In compliance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, we, the members of the Audit Committee of Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, received the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020, together with the management control report from the external auditors and management responses thereto at a duly convened meeting of the committee, and hereby report as follows. We confirm that we reviewed the scope and planning of the audit requirements. We reviewed the external auditor's management control report together with management responses, and we have ascertained that the accounting and reporting policies of the company for the year ended 31st March 2020 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 31st March 2020 was adequate, and management responses to the auditor's findings were satisfactory. We confirm that the internal control system was being consistently and effectively monitored through effective internal audit. The external auditors confirmed that they received full cooperation from the management during the course of the statutory audit. The committee, therefore, recommends that the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2020 and the external auditor's report thereon be presented for adoption at the annual general meeting. Dated 3rd July 2020 and signed by my humble self, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. Other members who served on the committee during the year are Mr. Emmanuel Omole, Mrs. Murenike Omilabu, Mr. Theophilus Shokumbi, Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, and Mrs. Wonola Adetayo. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman of the Audit Committee. The next item to be read is my statement. In view of the need for brevity at this meeting, do I assume that my statement is taken as read? Thank you very much. Kindly be informed that in exercise of the powers conferred on me by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, I hereby call a poll on items 1 to 4 and 6 on the agenda. Thus, voting for these resolutions will be done electronically. I will now invite the registrars to explain the process for the electronic voting. Registrar, please.
For the purpose of voting on each resolution, we have already given each shareholders a voting device. You will press 1 if you are in favor of any resolution, while you press 2 if you are against the resolution. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I now come to the first item on the agenda, which is to receive the audited financial statement of the company for the year ended 31st March 2020, and the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audit committee thereon. The reports and accounts have been circulated to all members in compliance with the statutory requirements, and I hereby move that the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended 31st March 2020, now submitted to this meeting be and are hereby received. Will someone please second the motion? Thank you. I now call for comments from members. Members are please requested to use the microphones when called upon to speak.
We are not done with the resolution. Let me support the motion you raised. Mr. Chairman, I hereby second that motion, Mr. Kezia Boniface.
General comments from the floor. Okay. Mr. Matthew, I feel like the answer. Okay.
The chairman, the managing director, members of the high table, members of regulatory authorities hereby present, my esteemed friends and shareholders, good morning. My name is Matthew Akinlade, the president of Noble Shareholders Solidarity Association. I rejoice with our company for a good performance this year, and I congratulate the company again for bringing Shagamu plant to the mainstream, contributing significantly to the financial statement that we are reviewing this year. I would not like to take our time because I have already sent questions and comments that I have to the company secretary, and I believe the management should have it already. But there is a point in my comments that I just want to emphasize. Just one point. Looking at page 56 of 55, 56 of our financial statement, which shows the balance sheet as well as profit and loss account. I look at the borrowing. When I look at both current and non-current borrowing, came to 58 billion as against 55 billion the previous year. Looking at the performance of our company on page 56, we did well with operating profit of 5.5 billion the previous. However, because of our high level of borrowing, finance costs consumed 4.2 billion
of the 5.5 billion operating profit, which is 76.9% of our operating profit. More or less, it's saying that we have been working for the bank, essentially. Well, we competed with the government because we pay tax of 620 million to the government, which is 11.3, and then what remains for the shareholders is 320 million, which is just 11.8% of the operating profit. This is not helpful. And I think it is high time that we raise equity so that larger part of our result will be accruable to the shareholders. When I look at when did we raise equity last, it was about 9 years ago. And performance of this company, and with Shagamu plant starting contributing effectively to the result of this company, I think if we think of raising equity, sometimes this year 2020 is gone, probably in 2021 it will go a long way to enable us give a lot of result, better return to the investors in this business. Like I said earlier on, I've passed my other comments to the company, and I want to wish the company very well. And I pray that the coming year and futures will continue to be better and better in the name of our Lord Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chivakulabi. Any more questions? I can see Chief Sonny Wosu. I recognize you. Thank you for coming to the meeting. I also see Boniface, but seniority is important.
Yes, my chairman is looking very strange today. My chairman, are you listening?
I'm very much all ears, listening to you.
Okay. You comment about your strange look today.
Can you see me? Thank you.
Let me start from distinguished fellow shareholders. My name is Sir Sonny Wosu, KSS, National Coordinator Emeritus, Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Let me start from where Baba 70 stopped. I want to quickly refer us to page. Okay, I'll get there. I think I will be more comfortable with standing mic. Thank you. Good morning, fellow shareholders. Are you hearing me? Okay. Haven't recognized the director who is standing in. We would have loved to see the face of Her Excellency here to bid us bye-bye, maybe as her last meeting. But wherever she is, I like that our goodwill and expression of our appreciation to her services to shareholders and the company be extended to her, wherever she is. And having said that, same also goes to the director that retired. It's an establishment that when you get to a certain age in life, you have to sit back and watch the children grow. But Mr. Chairman, just like my friend has just said, I am not going to go into too much of the figures of this annual report, but just to ask, your statement is very clear, Mr. Chairman. It's all about giving us hope about our investment in this company. But I also want to ask from the chairman whether we have any special treatment, like enjoying any palliative through agricultural palliative of Central Bank. It's very important for us to know this. And taking it from the angle of your statement here, which says fit for the future, I want to see a paragraph of this, which I really enjoy. It says, our strategy is delivering, and we are committed to building a company that will prosper over the long term. You went further. We believe that our approach will optimize value for our shareholders and positively impact all stakeholders, employees, consumers, business partners, and the community where we operate in the long time. Better days lies ahead for all stakeholders. I don't think there is a better statement to appreciate the stakeholders than what you have done here. But the question is, most of the shareholders will have to hold you responsible for this statement. That then means the returns must continue to show for the statement you have made here. That's very clear. And I also want to go to another part of your statement. We are committed in investing in growth opportunities and growth platform, especially carbohydrate categories that will improve agricultural productivity in Nigeria through commercialization of locally available inputs for food production. We will continue to relentlessly pursue long-term stakeholders' value maximization through a balanced top line and bottom growth by focusing on categories and regions where we have the ability to win. Mr. Chairman, where is our wheat coming from today? It's an important question. Where our wheat? I recall that some years ago, there was a project by flour millers to grow wheat in Nigeria. At the end of the day, we also discovered that those wheat was being smuggled out of Nigeria to sell the other side to make money, when in fact dollar was not as strong as it is today. So what is the plan of the millers in this aspect? Must we continue to import? Must we continue, because maize in the south is a mouth organ for us. Most of the maize come from the other side. And the mixture of maize cassava into flour milling, we want to know the effect. What portion of it have we been able to achieve today? It's very, very important, knowing fully well that bread have continued to be a stable food in this country. Despite the pandemic, we were given permission to continue to work, knowing fully well that we are producing what majority of Nigerians will eat. I recall during this period, we had to go and queue hours in a baking premises to be able to buy bread, which we supply the raw materials. So I want to know what we are really doing to ensure that we benefit from it. Some people saw coronavirus as a punitive measure to their businesses, while some people see it as a blessing to their businesses. This category of people and investment is where we belong to. And that's why you told us that we increased our meal flour by 6%. And that's in your statement here. If it has been punitive to us, we probably will not achieve that. So it is very important that we should know how we are going to manage to remain in business and make more money. That's that, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I also I really wondered why my friend Mr. Akinlade did not talk about improved dividend from the earning per share today. But of course, there are certain things that we do by submitting our finding at times. The 35,000 shareholders and above that we are representing will not know that we have touched areas that are dear to them. And that is why I am very grateful with my colleagues that we are choosing among this number of shareholders to represent the shareholders. And we must try as much as possible to represent them properly. We had 8.18 kobo earning per share. Last year, we did not pay anything, if I'm right. I think that this 8.18 kobo, I'm actually referring to 0.818, so that people will not be taking it to be 8 naira something. I believe that we needed to have gotten more dividend, either 1 or 2 kobo more to what is being paid than 4 kobo that we receive. Mr. Chairman, also, there is an issue here. I should not allow it to. Okay. There is an issue. I also want to further lay emphasis on what Mr. Akinlade said about borrowing. I'm really worried about borrowing, but I'm happy that we are meeting our obligations. If you look at it, we met our obligations because we paid almost 10 million naira back on non-current liability and others. I mean, that is where the strength of this company is, that you are meeting the obligation and we are making profit. But the major thing is that, is it right time for us to seek fresh funds? I do not think it is right time. Rather, the management of the funds we borrowed is a testimony for our ability and to make the business to be going. The reason is, COVID has taken away everything from investors. And that is why you are seeing most companies' shares are going back to the expatriates. We do not have money to buy even rights today. So I don't think it's appropriate time. But if you, as a board, because the thinking of board differs from the thinking of shareholders, they sit down and look at things properly. While the shareholders are giving documents 1 week to the time, and we also speak our minds. Our minds may not be the real thing needed in such a decision. If the major shareholders here that owns 80% of the entirety of the capital base of the company, we take their right, we have no problem about it. The remaining 20, we will also try to take, but we have to look at it properly, consider it very well. is the cheapest way of raising funds. I agree with that, but it must be at the right time. Surely at the right time. And there is one other thing I saw here, which is very confusing on the capital base of the company. Somewhere along this place is telling me that the capital base of the company is 3.9. Yes, okay, on page 57. On page 57, that's the statement of changes in equity. It's showing that the share capital of the company, okay, it's still the same. As at March 31st, 2020, showing 4 billion, almost 4 billion naira here. Whereas, if we also go to page 55, it's also showing capital of the company is 10 billion 27. I would like the managing director to clear this disparity on it so that one will really understand. Page 55, Jaye. Page 55, you will then go to equity, liability, share capital, 10 billion. Yes, okay, let me go to, yeah, I will go there. Yeah. On page what? Yes. See, no. I'm sure they will understand. Equity, abilities, now he's talking about equity. As we are concerned, equity is shares. And it's saying equity capital. It's saying share capital here. That's what it's saying. Point that. Share capital. So we actually need to separate these things very clearly for a better understanding. You may tell me now, like my friend is telling me, I may agree with you, but the person outside need to see these things in its line. Share capital is share capital. You don't have to. So, Mr. Chairman, sir, apart from my observation, I want to appreciate this, the working of the board, management, and staff that produced this. I believe that it's a better account than the previous year, and may God continue to help us, both in this country and globally, to really get out of the pandemic that has actually slowed down so many things. And I'm quite sure if not for the pandemic, our chairman would not have looked like us, like this. Mr. Lagwaja, you know, for a very long time, Lagwaja has been covering, and we thought he was just something else. But he has been proved to do so. Mr. Chairman, you see, when you remove this thing, you are now our chairman. Before, you were an artificial chairman. You see, your face is looking like a woman's man. I hope you pardon me.
Okay.
My in-law, you pardon me.
Don't worry, it's already permanent.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to speak. God bless all of us.
I think Boniface showed up his hand.
The chairman of Honeywell, KBC, good morning. The directors, our MD, and those virtual joining this meeting. I greet all of you. Fellow distinguished shareholders, my name is Boniface Okezie. Mr. Chairman, having advanced also through the company secretary, those who registered their proxy through me to represent them at this AGM have made their view known. I also want to highlight some issues. I've joined the second speaker, my elder brother, that this is not a time to come to market. But if the board thinks otherwise, we will follow. Because we're not yet where the company should be in terms of price and dividend payout. This company was listed at around 7 Naira in 2009 or thereabout. But today, because of what's happening globally, our share have drastically dropped. Today, I think it's trading about less than 1 Naira. So this is not a time for you to say you want to come public or right. Those existing shareholders will benefit, the benefit of invested in this great company. Thank God we're into food productions. And food today is where people are looking to. And that's why people are now rushing to buy the shares we are producing food and pharmaceutical company, because the world have changed by this pandemic. We thank God that the report here, we will continue in operation, even despite the lockdown, to produce food, which also are being given, government also purchasing to give out. Even those, some of them are not purchasing, some of the money were diverted. We have seen it today, when they said they were feeding children when they were locked down in their parents' homes. Because if those money were not given out, even to buy the food of the company that are producing those things, to send one carton of noodle or Honeywell to their homes, it would have been better than diverting those money to private pocket. God will continue to expose all of them. They're putting this country in a mess we find ourselves today. In Jesus' name, say amen. Mr. Chairman, clearly on page 83, yes, on borrowing. We thank God that the last speaker said this company have been keeping faith in servicing those loans. You see, when we meet people outside, they begin to talk jargons and, the company do, chairman do this and that. When I ask, this money being borrowed, did they used to do calcul or buy or marry new wives? No. We have seen this money have been borrowed in Shagamu plant today. With borrowing money, they should raise fresh money to put into Shagamu plant. And people who have gone to that plant have testified that it's a pass. And that's what we see today. They are contributing the Shagamu plant. Without it today, because what we are facing at Think Kind, we're not able to give us leverage on money we have made today. But Shagamu have contributed immensely, and the one at Ikeja there. And that's why we made a lot of this money. Because going to Think Kind in that road that's almost impossible would have been a contributor for us to make loss, even at this pandemic. Even at the Shagamu, because of the road construction, diversion, this and that, it's also a challenge. Because of infrastructures, and we are paying tax, we are paying this, Mr. Chairman, and that's what the government should be able to. We thought that even today, this dividend you are given, that it should have been tax-free, if government know what they are doing. Because government is taking tax, you are paying extra, you are paying security, which I'm going to go later to highlight what we spend on security alone. What is the essence of government? Is it not provide security to secure life and property? The company has spent a woeful sum of money to provide even security. And the same government will come back and ask you to pay tax. While you are struggling to pay loans, like page 83, we have about 33.72 billion, 33.726 billion. And the current amount today is about 26.770 billion. That means we are paying these loans. Instead of those 4 billion or something today, with service, we are paying our charges, interest. Dividend would have been going home. Because Honeywell we shouldn't be rejoicing of 4 kobo. Even the capital appreciation, there's something kobo there about. That is not where Honeywell ought to be. On the truth. Even if the shares are declining, not to that extent. Mr. Chairman, so until that have improved, we cannot talk about accessing the capital market, which does free money. But it's not free as such. By the time they sell their own, this one take their own, you have take their own, it's not even cheap at all to raise such money. So we continue on that trajectory where we are borrowing, I thank God that some of them will, in 2023, 2024, thereabout. So every company that succeeded today cannot see that money is their own. It must access bank. It must borrow from bank. And that's why interest borrowing should come down. But unfortunately, we are not seeing it coming in this country. In this part of the world, where interest borrowing for manufacturers to do business should be coming down. But we're still high. And that's why this is up, And the companies are struggling to pay the bank because banks also have shareholders to service, to pay dividend to their shareholders, owners of those companies. So you manufacturer, you cannot say, okay, I have my shareholders, I want to take everything to pay to them. You must also pay. Bank is trust. You have borrowed, you must also fulfill your obligation to return to those banks where we borrowed, Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you and the company for being able to, the company can also accept those money from the banks. Now, my brother, are we having palliative on central bank into agriculture? Because we're into foods, which you classify into agriculture, we have been doing. These are things they should be able to come back to us to give us those soft loans, even at 5%. But CBN, unfortunately, also going at 7% or thereabout 10%, which is not good. In manufacturing, we are borrowing a high. So the interests are killing manufacturers in this country. That's what we have been battling to. It is not that the Honeywell have not been doing well to pay higher dividend to shareholder, to go here 50 kobo or 1 naira. But this is a problem because we are struggling to pay the bank so they can see us as a responsible organization who borrow and pay. But unfortunately, in the past, people borrow and divert it. But we are seeing effects of those borrowing that have been reflecting. We are seeing the factory have been there. Some shareholders have been there to attach to it, that we have a world-class factory in that Shagam today. Mr. Chairman, if you look at on the page 87, which also operating expenses by nature, I want to commend the company, even though our revenue grew this year, but we're still within the range. Our total expenditure was 8.48 billion as against 8.466. So we are still within managing. We are not being extravagant. That is good, Mr. Chairman. But my worry here is also, Mr. Chairman, if you look at what we spend here on security, that is my worry. Last year was 116 million. Look at this year, 168. Why should that be? A country where page 87, where those governments are responsible to provide security to life and property, we are spending such money in providing security. That tells you how degenerated the country is. It's very unfortunate, very sad that, company will be confident. And to such government, we are donating to provide security. We buy vehicle to give to the security fund. But at the same time, we are spending much to provide security in our premises. Mr. Chairman, that is where we are today. And that's only where I have from Forel. Mr. Chairman, I'll take you page 49. I don't want to take our time. Page 49. Yes, 9.5 billion, 531 million, 9 million. And NYC Orientation Camp sponsorship, 3 million, which is good. But that's also come that this program should be scrapped by federal government. There's no usefulness. I don't see any usefulness. It has lost its value. Because government will put this, our children, in a Asian camp. How much are they feeding them? How much are they giving to them? It's just as when they were in the universities, where parents are still supporting them, and government pay not. We depend on company now to augment. And I hope that this money went through the camp. Because when we donate to government agencies, those money are diverted and they ship honey to their own private pocket. So for me, if they will depend on company to support them, that program should be scrapped because there's no finish of any longer. Mr. Chairman, in FRC, yes, I know what they're doing. FRC, Road Safety Corps, who have been doing very well to make sure the traffic, because a manufacturer also partner with them. I think that was informed this donation to them. But the youth who are consuming the Honeywell noodles, it's good from our product. Without the youth who consume those products, I also commend you for doing that. But what are women who are in the kitchen? Why must they give this pattern of 234,000 naira, Mr. Chairman? The women, without them today, all the food we are producing, who will recommend? I want to cook wheat, of Honeywell wheat, Honeywell Femina. That's the women would make a choice of what food to cook, serve. So if they are doing program, we must also encourage them. What you're giving to the women empowerment program, it is not good. Mr. MD looked at it. When time they approach you, give them something good for the women. Yes, for the women. And the children, I support that. All the donations are good. Children and women. Nigerian Red Cross, I can understand it. Let them take that 42,000. It's okay for them. But the women and the children, they are the consumers of product. We must also encourage them when they approach us for such donations. Mr. Chairman, like I earlier said, the company is doing very well. At least the COVID-19, we have been selling, we're making a lot of money. Our dividend should have been increased. If we had given us 7 kobo from that 8.18, it should have been good, Mr. Chairman. Or 5 kobo or 6 kobo, it would have been good. Like I said, we are not yet there in terms of dividend payout. Yes, we are servicing loan, but we must also service shareholders. We must eat while we are alive. It's not when we are dead. Somebody will not taking those money we invested. Let us all benefit and enjoy the money while we are alive. That's what I'm praying that Honeywell, by next year, the result will be better than this one. By the grace of God, it will be better than this one. So when we begin to pay higher dividend and share appreciate, if you come to market existing shareholder, they will jump in. Whether they are having money or not, they go and borrow and buy the shares, take their right. Because they will miss a lot if they are not taking it in. So we are praying that things will come back before we can talk of coming to the market. But for now, our food products are excellent. That's what I consume. And that's why I'm looking fresh and younger. You can't say I'm, because that's food I eat, the wheat. It's good food. Good thinking, good food. Without good food, you can't live a good life, a healthy life. And we thank God that this company produces good food that makes you to look agile and be productive and committed to the country we call Nigeria. So if you are not healthy and government are not in other directions, that is why they should give us soft loans. We would not say free of charge. Soft loans with lower interest rate so that we can feed a healthy nation, so that the nation can be productive to our country, Nigeria. Without you company today, Nigeria would have collapsed. That's the truth. May God bless Honeywell and bless Nigerian shareholder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Before we put the motion to vote, I call on the managing director to please respond to the issues raised by our members and answer questions that may have been raised. Managing director. Okay. Mrs. Bakari still wants to talk. Let us recognize Mrs. Bakari.
Thank you. I stand on existing protocols. I'm going to be very brief. My name is Mrs. Bakari. Of course, I agree with my colleagues that the result we are considering today is an excellent result. But my concern about this year's result is how management will sustain the profitability for many years to go and to come. The sustainability of this year's result. It's not that we have profit this year and next year we'll be talking of negative results. How do we sustain the result we are considering today? That is my first question. Secondly, I also congratulate our company for the 4 awards we received during this year and during the year under review. This is very good, and I hope that the company will keep it up. Page 7. Notes to the financial statement. That is note 19, operating expenses by nature. Mr. Chairman, despite that our profit after taxation increased by 1,227% from 35.7 million to 650.5 million, there is a reduction in our delivery expenses from 2.5 billion to 1.95 billion. This is commendable. I really commend management for that. Having said that, but for me, we still need to watch some of our expenses. Looking at our subscriptions here, our subscriptions moved from 65.2 million to 127.4 million. This is on the high side. The same thing on travel. Our travel expenses moved from 303.2 million to 321.6 million. I want the management to look at this. The same thing on entertainment. Our entertainment moved from 94.8 million to 103.4 million. The one that give me concern again under this operating expenses by nature is our other expenses, because I can't imagine how we lump up about 3.733 billion as other expenses. Other expenses. This is not good for our company. I think the auditors should take note of this. 3.733 billion as other expenses out of 8.48 billion. That is on the high side. Page 88. Page 88. Note 21.2, employees. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if MD can explain this. The reason why the medical aid company contributions moved from 69.9 million to 149.7 million. I want MD, that's on page 88, note 21.2, employees, medical aid, from 69.9 million to 149.7 million. Again, Mr. Chairman, I think for future, the Secretariat should take note of this. We should include our company's dividend history so that any shareholders or any investors that see our annual report, they can see how our dividend history look like. So I think for next year, we should have that in our annual report and account. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I want our company to start looking inwardly to diversify to other proteinous products that is of benefit to human consumptions. Once again, thank you for the opportunity given to me to be part of today's meeting. God bless you all.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Bakari. Is there anyone else with any question? Thank you. As there are no further questions or comments, I will now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your votes. The registrars are around to conduct the enumeration. Registrars. That's SAS Honeywell. Yes, you can speak.
Mr. Chairman, sir, you said the MD should respond to some of the questions raised.
I said so.
Yeah,
You're
he
right.
has not done that, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
MD, can you please come up and respond to the observations and the questions of members? Thank you, veteran emeritus.
Mr. Chairman, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Directors, representatives of regulatory authorities here present, representatives of shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. There were four issues raised, four speakers who have made comments and asked questions at this meeting. However, I must mention that there were a few other questions that came in by mail and via social media. So as much as possible, I will respond to these questions, especially the ones from the four people in attendance, representing the rest of the shareholders. Mr. Matthew Akinlade, on behalf of the board and management, I say a big thank you for recognizing the good works that this business continues to deliver. You wanted to know regarding donations, and I think that point has been stressed and noted, because the same point was raised by Mr. Ekeze. Of course, as a business, we appreciate the role of women, and we recognize the great impact that they make. Therefore, we will continue to pay attention to women programs beyond what we currently do. I must also add that there are a lot other support initiatives that we provide for various women groups across the nation. But perhaps some of these support were not listed, because this is actually a memorandum information. There's also the point on donation to some other bodies. All those issues have been noted by management. The other issue raised is around the share capital and the equity position of the business. Of course, we recognize the current position in the business, and the board, of course, also the management continues to look at ways and means of improving the funding position. I must quickly add at this point that we continue to engage our bankers, and our weighted cost of fund is gets better by the day, by the month, because currently our weighted cost of fund is a single digit. Those days back then it should be very close to 20. Now we operate within a single digit weighted cost of fund. So it's actually getting better. Sir Nwosu spoke extensively on quite a number of issues, but the one I will quickly like to address is that where the industry is concerning wheat. You also asked the direct question, where are we getting our wheat from? Our wheat, being the major source material, is sourced from various countries, predominantly from the US. The industry as a whole consumes about 5.5 million metric tons of wheat annually. The milling industry continues to provide support to the Wheat Farmers Association. We continue to do this on our own, recognizing the importance of backward integration to our business. But because we are not wheat farmers ourselves, we are processors of wheat, the least we can do is to support industry, the wheat cultivating industry, in order that Nigeria over time can be sufficient in local wheat production. But I must say that it's a very, very tough journey. It's a long journey. We've set our hands are on the plow. Recently, we had engagement with representatives of the central bank on wheat value chain as a whole. I must report that the few discussions we've had with central bank on the one hand and also with the Wheat Farmers Association are delivering results, because we hope that we have been able to underscore the importance of government giving more support to the wheat farmers beyond what the flour millers are currently doing, and I must say we are doing quite a lot. The biggest support that might be required in that sector is around sourcing or procuring the right seed to plant in this environment. Of course, there's also the issue of a lot of other issues. The issue of irrigation, the issue of capacity building, and whatnot. Since CBN has intervened, they've shown interest. I'm optimistic that all necessary support from the part of government will come. We are willing, just as we've always said to the wheat farmers, to take up every local wheat produced at an agreed price. And we've had a series of meetings also with the Wheat Farmers Association of Nigeria, continue to dialogue and engage them. Together, we will improve the wheat cultivation in Nigeria. Well, the other earnings per share and dividend was impliedly answered by one of the people who asked questions. All I would like to add at this point is that the need to continue to grow returns to shareholders is not lost on management. I will continue to put up our very best in terms of delivering superior bottom line numbers. That is the profit after tax. It can only get better. We are just coming out of a long investment phase. And I believe that now that the investments are made, from now on, our expectation is that the results will begin to trickle in. And we are beginning to see some good results. You applauded the modest growth that was recorded in the last, in this financial year under review. For those of you who look at our first quarter results, which indeed was the most turbulent phase of the Nigerian economy since the advent of COVID-19. From on year-on-year basis, we were able to grow our top-line numbers above 30% in the first quarter. Management is determined to continue to stretch itself, deploying necessary strategies in order that we continue to support expectations and deliver value to the shareholders. The point noted, timing of raising equity capital is well received, and I cannot agree any less with you. However, we continue to study every other possible areas of sourcing funds necessary to support our working capital. Those funds must be priced reasonably. This is the challenge of management, and we'll continue to take this in our strides. The point noted on operating profit is appreciated. I just spoke to that. That we'll continue to do more. We improve the returns to shareholders. Mrs. Bakari spoke about the sustainability. This is why we have a management in place. And this is why management continues to interact with the boss, with the board, taking a lot of not only support, but taking a lot of challenges the board. And of course, some strategic initiatives also. All of these strategic initiatives will continue to be deployed, and we are optimistic as management that the results can only be better. We remain committed to providing superior quality food products, especially flour and all other consumer products, to teeming Nigerians and beyond these shores. We are convinced beyond doubt that as long as we remain focused in giving value to all stakeholders, especially the consumers, providing for them the right quality of products at the right price and delivering in good time, making sure availability is okay, of course, our business will continue to grow. We also received few comments and questions via social media. There were 6 of them, but I will just talk 2. I would like to read them out. One says, I'm very impressed with the conduct of the AGM. God bless Honeywell Flour Mills. Thank you very much for that shareholder who sent this in. Another one here. Okay, the shareholder says, how can we get electronic annual reports? Well, hopefully, currently, the annual reports are circulated in hard copies and also provided on our website. And I think that's electronic enough. So for that shareholder and perhaps others who desire to have this electronically, just visit the Honeywell Flour Mills PLC website, www.honeywellflourmills.com. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir. I think I've been able to address all the points and questions raised. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, distinguished.
Thank you very much, Managing Director, Mr. Ajayi. I also want to once again acknowledge Elder Sonny Wosu for the prompting that he gave. As there are no further comments or questions, I now put the motion to vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. It is your right. Please cast your votes. The registrars are here to also check the votes and announce the results.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Please.
Chairman. For the purpose of voting, if you are in favor of the resolution, please press 1. If you are against any resolution, please press 2. The voting will commence now. Please hold on. The poll will soon open. The poll will open. The poll will soon open. Yeah, the poll has opened now. I've seen 4 shareholders have already voted. 5 shareholders, 6, 7, 8. 8 shareholders have voted. Poll is still open. Nine shareholders. Countdown. We have 16 seconds, 15 seconds, 11, 10 seconds left, 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Yeah. Time's up. Poll is now closed. The result, please. At the end of the voting exercise on Resolution 1, we have 111 shareholders physically present and by proxy voting on that resolution, having a total shareholding of 5,932,128,091 units, 100%. No against. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Registrar, and congratulations to members who are at this meeting and those who are listening and joining us digitally. The second item on the agenda is the declaration of the dividend. And I hereby move that the final dividend of 4 kobo per share, subject to tax, be declared in respect of the year ended 31st March 2020. And made payable by the 30th of September 2020 to members whose names appear in the register of members aside the close of business on the 16th September 2020. Will someone please second the motion? Chief Akilani.
I, Matthew Akinlade, I second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor? Boniface, should we not pay? As there are no comments, I will now put some vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your vote. Registrars.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Like I earlier said, for the purpose of voting, you press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, while you press 2 if you are against. Voting will commence. Poll has opened. 6 shareholders have already voted. 7, 8, 9 shareholders have voted. Poll is still open. Remain 18 seconds left, 17 seconds, 15 seconds left. 9 seconds. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Time's up. Poll is now closed. Please display the results. At the end of the voting on the declaration of dividend, we have 109 shareholders physically present voting and by proxy, with a total shares of 5,922,125,841, which represents 100%. That resolution. Sir.
Thank you. Congratulations to members for that exercise. We now move to item number 3. which is the re-election of retiring directors and election of the new director. In accordance with Articles 100 and 102 of the Articles of Association of our company, Mr. Obafemi Otudeko, Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, and Dr. Raymond Zupo retire by rotation and are being eligible. They offer themselves for re-election. In addition, in the course of the current financial year, Dr. Nino Ozara Albert was appointed as a non-executive director. Are there any questions with respect to these candidates before a motion is put to the meeting for their election? Any questions? No questions. Thank you very much. I would now like to call on the shareholder to move as follows: that Mr. Obafemi Otudeko, having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, be re-elected as a director of the company. Thank you. Would another shareholder please second this motion? Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much, Boniface. Thank you. I now put the motion to the vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your vote. Registrars are also available to announce the result.
For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution, while you press 2 if you are against. That's for the purpose of re-electing Mr. Obafemi Otudeko. Please open the poll. Six shareholders have voted so far. 7 shareholders, 8 shareholders, 9 shareholders, 10 shareholders has voted. Countdown. 14 seconds left. 9 seconds, 7 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Yeah. Time's up. Poll has now closed. Please, result, please. At the end of the voting for the re-election of Mr. Obafemi Otudeko, we have 111 shareholders physically present voting and by proxy, having a total shareholdings of 5,932,139,661 units, 100%. No against that resolution. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. The shareholder, please move with respect to Mr. Smith, Andrew Smith Maxwell, that Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, who having retired by rotation, being eligible, and having offered himself for re-election, be re-elected as the director of the company. I so move. Thank you. Would another shareholder please rise and second this motion? Please rise. Mrs. Bakari, please. Thank you. Thank you. Will another shareholder? Well, we have already one already done. The moving. Thank you very much. I now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes for Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell.
For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please still press 1 if you are in favor of the resolution. That is for the re-election of Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell. If you are against, please press 2. poll will soon commence. Shareholders have voted. 8 shareholders have voted so far. 9 shareholders. 10 shareholders voted. Countdown. 13 seconds left. 10 seconds. 7 seconds left. Time up. Poll has now closed. At the end of the voting for the re-election of Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, we have 108 shareholders physically present and by proxy voting in favor of that resolution, with a total shareholding of 5,932,137,545 units, 100%. No against that resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I would now like us to consider the election of Dr. Raymond Zuko. That Dr. Raymond Zuko, who having retired by rotation, being eligible and having offered himself for re-election, be re-elected as the director of the company. I so move. Would another shareholder please second this motion? Sir Sami Musu, please. Thank you. Registrars, please be ready to administer the vote.
For the purpose of
I now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds to vote on the re-election of Dr. Zuko. Please cast your vote. Register.
Yeah. For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1 if you are in favor, while you press 2 if you are against. That is for the re-election of Dr. Raymond Zuko. Poll has commenced. 10 shareholders have voted. 17 seconds left. 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds. 1 second. Poll has closed. So the result, please. At the end of the voting for the re-election of Dr. Raymond Zuko as the director of Honeywell PLC, we have 109 shareholders physically present voting and by proxy, having a total shares of 5,931,637,745 units, representing 100% voting on that resolution, no against. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Registrar. We have another motion with respect to the election of Dr. Nino Albert Ozara. That Dr. Nino Albert Ozara be and is hereby elected as the director of Honeywell PLC. I so move. Will the shareholder please second the motion? Who is seconding the motion? Thank you very much, Madam. Yes, Madam, thank you. So, Registrar, will you please conduct?
Thank you, sir. For the
vote on this motion.
For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1 if you are in favor, while you press 2 if you are against. That is for the election of Dr. Nino Ozara. 2 shareholders are so far voted. 3 shareholders, 4, 5, 7 shareholders voted. 7 shareholders have voted so far. 7 shareholders Only 8 seconds left. 8 shareholders, 9 shareholders, 10 shareholders. 2 seconds left. Poll has closed. Please display the result. At the end of the voting for the re-election of Dr. Nino Ozara, we have 109 shareholders physically present voting and by proxy, with a total shareholdings of 5,932,137,166 units. 100% no against that resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare the resolution carried and would like to congratulate all the directors, both re-elected and freshly elected. Congratulations to you. The next item is item 4, which is resolution to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditor. I shall ask the shareholder to formally propose as follows: that the remuneration and expenses of the company's auditor, Bekatili Nigeria, be fixed by the directors in respect of the period ending and conclusion of the next annual general meeting. I so move. Mr. Sunday motion. Please second the motion. Mr. Sunday motion. My in-law. Yes, please. You need a mic? No, I've done it. Let's up. Okay. Thank you very much. If there are no questions or comments, I'll now put the motion to a vote. You have 20 seconds to vote. Please cast your vote. Registrars, please handle the election.
For the purpose of voting, for the resolution that is to authorize the director to fix the remuneration of expenses of the company's auditor, if you are in favor of that resolution, please press 1. If you are against, please press 2. Voting has commenced. 6 shareholders so far voted, 7 shareholders voted, 8 shareholders, 9 shareholders, 9 shareholders so far voted against that resolution. In favor of that resolution. No, as well voted. At the end of the voting on the resolution, that is to authorize the director to fix the remuneration and expenses of the company's auditor, we have 108 shareholders physically present and by proxy voting in favor of that resolution, having a total shareholdings of 5,932,109,411 units, 100% in favor of that resolution, no against. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We now move to item number 5, which is the resolution to elect members of the Audit Committee. This next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee. The Companies and Allied Matters Act provides that there shall be no right to demand a poll on the election of members of the Audit Committee. The Board of Directors of the company nominated the following directors as members of the Audit Committee: Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, who you know, Mr. Oluwati Shokunbi, Mrs. Wonola Adetayo. We have also received 3 valid nominations from the shareholders, and they are Mr. Adeleke Adebayo Adetuji, Mr. Omole Emmanuel Olu, Mrs. Ominabu Murenike Akiola. As there are only 3 nominations to fill the shareholders' vacancies on the statutory audit committee, there shall be no need for an election. I will now call on a member to move as follows: that pursuant to the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, an audit committee of the company be and is hereby appointed with effect from today, 30th September 2020, till the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The following are to constitute the membership of the committee: Directors, Mr. Andrew Smith Maxwell, Mr. Oluroti Shokubi, and Mrs. Wonola Adetayo. For shareholders are Mr. Adebayo Adeleke, Mr. Emmanuel Omole, Mrs. Morenike Ominabu. That for your information. The resolution to renew the general mandate for related party transactions. That is item 6. The item on the agenda is the resolution to renew the general mandate authorizing the company to enter into the current related party transaction. I hereby propose that pursuant to the rule governing transactions with related parties or interested parties issued by the Nigeria Stock Exchange, the general mandate authorizing the company to enter into the current related party transaction for its day-to-day operations be and is hereby renewed. Will a member please second the motion? Yes, Boniface. Thank you, Boniface. If there are no questions or comments, I will now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes under the guidance of the registrars.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the purpose of voting on that resolution, please press 1 if you are in favor of that resolution, while you press 2 if you are against. Voting will soon commence. Voting has started. 5 shareholders, 7, 8 shareholders, 9. 10 shareholders have voted already. 13 seconds left. 12 seconds, 11, 10. 5, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Poll has now closed. At the end of the voting on that resolution, which is to renew the general mandate for related party transactions, we have 112 shareholders physically present and by proxy voting in favor of that resolution, having a total unit of 5,932,138,241 units, 100%. No against on that resolution. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Registrar. Ladies and gentlemen, I want personally to say thank you to all of you who have personally attended this annual general meeting and also sustaining shareholders who cannot be here for one reason or the other. As there are no other businesses for which due statutory notice was given, I thank you once again for attending and for taking part in the affairs of our company. I want to say to you, please note that we are committed to ensuring that the fortunes of our company improves and increases. Indeed, we want as much as possible to commence a process whereby our raw materials will be locally available, which means less dependence on imported wheat. Thank you very much for your observation. Thank you for participating. Thanks for attending and taking part in the affairs of our company. I therefore have the pleasure to declare the 11th annual general meeting of the company closed. May God bless you all as you go. May God bless the company. May I call on Mr. Matthew, Chief Matthew Aklade, to give us a closing prayer.
Please let us pray. In the name of Jesus, in the holy name of Jesus, O Lord, our great and wonderful God, we thank you for the opportunity you gave us to be here today. We thank you that we are not consumed by the pandemic, and we thank you that you have shown our country a good level of mercy to survive and to be able to manage it. We pray that it will soon become a thing of the past in Jesus' name. Amen. And we also thank you for being with us at the AGM of our dear company for 2020. We thank you for guiding us through it and for giving us understanding and for making the meeting peaceful. Accept our thanks in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. We also thank you for the progress that our company is. Thank you for your enablement. And we thank you that the company continues to experience growth year by year. We pray this will continue in Jesus' mighty name. As we shall be departing this place, O Lord, take us to our different homes peacefully in Jesus' mighty name. And for our company, when we will be assembling next year for AGM, let us have every cause to shout hallelujah and praise you for tremendous progress we will witness. This and more we ask for in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Thank you. Yeah.